This is Geometry Lesson 4.2, Properties of Isosceles Triangles. The isosceles triangle conjecture states, if a triangle is isosceles, then its base angles are congruent. Furthermore, if a triangle has two congruent angles, then it is isosceles. Now, isosceles is a word we defined, I believe, back in chapter 2. If we don't remember what isosceles means two congruent sides. Just in case we don't remember what that means. Okay, so basically what they're saying then is if there's two congruent angles, there's two congruent sides. And vice versa. If there's two congruent angles, then there's two congruent sides. So that's everything I said. If there's two congruent sides, then there's two congruent angles. If there's two congruent angles, then there's two congruent sides. It goes both ways. My first example here has a triangle that shows me two congruent sides. So I know that there are two congruent angles because there are two congruent sides. So I have a 75 on the right. I know that x is also 75 degrees. Now I'm going to utilize my 180 rule from the previous lesson to know that all three angles should add up to 180 degrees. So if I do 180 minus 150, I'll write that down, 180 minus 150, y is 30 degrees. My second example shows me a triangle with two congruent angles. Now I know for a fact that if there are two congruent angles, then there are two congruent sides. So x is 7. Continuing on, I have a triangle with a 40-degree vertex, two congruent sides, tells me I have two congruent angles. I know all three angles should add up to 180 degrees, so I can do 180 minus 40 to see what those bottom two angles should add up to, and then 140 divide that by 2, since those are two congruent angles, tells me that x is 70. My final example, I see an isosceles triangle at the top. It is upside down, so the base angles are actually at the top. But I have congruent base angles anytime I have congruent or isosceles triangle. So I can put a 65 in this corner. I'll use the 180-degree rule to figure out the vertex at the bottom of my triangle. 180 minus 65 minus 65. That's 130, so I need 50 more degrees to get to 180. I can vertical that and tell me that this angle is also 50 degrees. And I see another triangle down here, and it is an isosceles triangle at kind of a funky angle, but my isosceles sides are here, so my base angles right here are the congruent angles. So I can throw another 50 in this corner, and then use my 180 rule to find that answer for x. That's 100, so 180 minus 100 is 80 degrees. That's it for the examples. Good luck on the exercises, and please let me know if you have any questions.